this is Dee Fomby. I am back today as your tax genius. So for those of you guys who know me, you know that I've been in the tax industry for over 3 years. And so as we are embarking upon a new tax season, and many of you all are looking for tax preparers and you're really trying to understand what is happening this tax season, I want to talk to you guys about something that is very important. Oftentimes, like when tax season start, that individuals, based upon their circumstance and their situation, that they're looking for the biggest refund, but also you have to just calculate the cost of what you're asking for. And oftentimes there are certain things that would trigger an audit from the IRS. Now, here's one thing that I want you guys to know is that the IRS, they are slow, which means that they may release your refund today and then they'll come after you 2 or 3 years later. And so this is why it is going to be very important that you understand like the tax laws and understand what you can do to avoid the tax audit. Now, if you don't understand how to avoid an audit, or you don't know what you can file on your tax return, that's why it's important that you go to someone who's experienced, who have expertise, and that can help you with understanding what is happening this tax season. So I want to share with you guys just a few tips on what you can do to avoid being audited by the IRS. The first thing, and one of the first things that trigger an audit with the IRS is dependents. Oftentimes, taxpayers, they want to claim dependents. So let's say, for instance, if you are a girlfriend and boyfriend, right? And you have been taking care of your girlfriend's dependent for the entire year, or for the entire year. You may feel obligated to claim that dependent on your tax return. Can you claim that dependent on your tax return? The answer is yes, you can claim that dependent on your tax return. The real question is whether or not you will receive earned income tax credit for claiming that dependent. Since that dependent is not legally your child by relationship or marriage, then you will not qualify for earned income tax credit. You will qualify for other dependent credit, which means that the IRS wants to recognize that you've been in this dependent's life and that you have taken care of this dependent for nearly the entire year. So the IRS want to recognize it. Yes, you can claim that dependent, but you will not receive earned income tax credit. You will receive what they call other dependent credit, which means that the max that you will receive for that credit is up to $500. Woo, okay? And so another thing that would trigger an audit from the IRS is that if you're claiming a dependent, right? So, in the Black community, let me just be frank, in the Black community, we let people, like live in our household, and they may not be related to us, but we may consider them our daughter. We may consider them our son because they lived in a household with us for nearly the entire year. Well, if that dependent is not related to you by blood, by marriage, or through the governmental system like foster care or adoption, then you cannot claim that child that you feel is your daughter, but really not your daughter. Okay, so you cannot claim that person for earned income tax credit. So you can't put on the tax return that this is your daughter. That is not your daughter. Okay, and so if you put that it is your daughter, or it's your sister, or or your aunt, because you're trying to get earned income tax credit, like that's not going to work. Why is not going to work? You may feel like it's going to work today, but it's not going to work in the long run. Please understand that the IRS, they coming, because all of these systems, they work together. The government is you think that the federal don't know who's related to you? They know who's related to you. They may be slow in putting all of the pieces together, but they have certain systems already that's going to do system checks for them. I'll give you a prime example. If you are audited by the IRS, right, for, let's say if you're audited for income, even though you may be audited for income purposes, they are still going to want you to verify the dependent that's on your tax return. If that dependent is your son or daughter, you don't even have to submit a birth certificate if you're going through an audit. Why? Because the government already know that this is your son or daughter. They already have that in their system. And so this is why I want you guys to know is that there are certain things that we try to do to, outsmart the IRS. Please know that they are smart, especially when it comes to dependents. And so if you want to avoid getting audited, do not file anyone on your tax return as your son, as your daughter, as your auntie, your uncle, if they are not. Okay. Second thing that can trigger an audit on your tax return is income. Okay. Now we get asked this question all the time about income status. So let's say that if you have four W-2s and you're in a rush to get your taxes filed, but you only want to claim, maybe one of the W-2s. So the reason why that would trigger an audit is because as an employer, employers already have to report the income to the IRS. That's why the IRS is waited until after when? February the 15th to even release refunds, because as an employer, they have until the 31st to report like all W-2s, 1099s, and all of that in the system. And so what happened is that the IRS, they do a system check to see if the income that matches what was reported in the system. Now, there are two things that can happen. They'll audit you because there is a discrepancy in the income. Or number two, they'll go in and make the changes themselves. And how does that affect you? It affects you because you got this amount in a refund, but once they make the changes to your tax return, what happens? Now you're going to owe that money back. So this is why it's important that you do not delete, try to avoid reporting any of your income. You want to report all of your income and give your tax preparer an opportunity to be able to work for you by having all of the information that's needed to file a proper tax return. Okay. Number three, the third reason that you may be audited by the IRS and how you can avoid it. Oh my God. I need to just say this. I can't even believe that this is done in the tax industry, but I know why it is done, and I'm going to help you to understand that. All right, so if you have a tax preparer, and the sad part, oh my God, the sad part about it is that some of you all don't even know that this is being added to your tax return. And so by the time that the IRS come and audit you, which is a situation that is happening right now, as to the reason why I even made this video, it's because there was a tax preparer who put certain things on this taxpayer's tax return. Now the taxpayer is audited and they're trying to get in contact with the tax preparer. And you already know where the tax preparer is, right? The tax preparer is ghost. The tax preparer is gone. Why? Because they already knew that they had done something that was frivolous. They added something to the tax return that they shouldn't. So the third reason as to what would trigger an audit from the IRS is applying for or having credits on your tax return that you do not qualify for. Let me say that again. Having credits on your tax return that you do not qualify for, such as the fuel credit, the education credit. Like, these are two credits that is a flag. Oh my God. Those are a flag because most taxpayers do not qualify for the fuel credit. Oh, and another credit is they have an energy efficient credit, which means that if you have done improvement to your home, right? So there's a credit for like the HVAC, for installing maybe a new roof, insulated doors and windows, right? So let's say that you already claimed that credit in 2022, and now it's 2024, you're trying to claim that same credit again. That is a red flag that triggers an audit, all right? So claiming credits that you qualify for in one tax year and you're trying to claim those credits again. The second one is the education credit, and the third one is the fuel credit. Okay, what I feel very sorry about for taxpayers is that most of the time you guys don't even know that these 3 credits are on your tax return because you're not a tax preparer. You don't find out until it is too late. And so this is why I am trying to tell you guys that it is going to be imperative, it's important who you choose to do business with. And I know that a lot of times that we want to, you know, just choose somebody based upon signs that we see on the side of the road. You know, you want to choose somebody based upon how they fold their arms in their pictures. No, you're going to need more than that. You're going to need someone that is experienced, have expertise, and really understand the tax laws, because it's not just about the tax season that you're in today. This, what happened is, this is about years to come when the IRS may look for you because you're a tax preparer, added dependents on your tax return. They added all of these credits trying to get you a large refund that you don't qualify for. All right. So if you're going to avoid getting audited during the tax season and even after the tax season, make sure that these 3 things that I've discussed with you in this live is not included on your tax return if you do not qualify for them. All right. So my name is Dee Fomby. I am your tax genius. I am the owner of Tax Genius Worldwide, formerly known as Accurate Tax Services. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I've had an established presence, brick and mortar location for over a decade in Birmingham, Alabama. We file taxes with individuals all over the world. So it doesn't matter how complicated your situation is. My team and I, we are here to assist you and to work favorable for you. If you guys have any tax questions, you can go to our website, www.taxgeniusworldwide.com. You all can also inbox me, and be sure to share out this video and follow me. Y'all, I'm on TikTok too, so y'all follow me on TikTok. All right, so where I keep you guys updated. All right, so let me just make sure there are no questions that you guys have. All right, okay. All right, thanks for tuning in. All right, bye y'all.